Hello all, this is Colette from Witchways and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about 3 of my favorite summer herbs that I use in magic and the spells that I create with them. You can of course use these in winter, but I like to talk about them now. And if you're interested in hearing more about green witchery from me or have a particular plant you'd like me to go over at some point, just put that in the comments below. I hope you enjoy. My first herb is St. John's wort, and the botanical name is Hypericum perforatum. And the name Hypericum actually comes from Greek, and the phrase means over an apparition. And what this means is that St. John's wort was so powerful at dispelling harmful spirits that the faintest hint of it would send them running. St. John's wort is associated with the sun and the element of fire, and it can be used in incense blends, sprays, or anointing oil to call on any deity or spirit associated with fire. I also really wanted to always know what the pre-Christian name was for this plant. It has a lot of folk names, but I think most of them are pretty modern, and I think I might have found it. I think it's called Fuga Demonum in Latin, which is translated as scare demon or devil's flight. And I've mentioned before that I really like to put St. John's wort in my bundles over my doorways for protection in the summer, and also to make St. John's wort crosses. You can do this anytime, but a waning moon is good. On a sunny day, go outside around noon and cut off the top 12 inches or so of some flowering St. John's wort. As you're harvesting the plant, talk to it and say its name over and over and ask it to dispel any harmful spirits from your home and send them far away. At the stem end of those harvested St. John's wort, you should tie them together with a red piece of cord, yarn, or string made of natural fibers and make 4 knots. As you're making each of the knots, say, St. John's wort, I ask you to remove any unwanted spirits and protect my home. And say that each time you're tying a knot. And then go inside and make a small fire in your fireplace if you have one. And if you don't have a fireplace, don't worry, I'm going to give you a variation in a minute for that situation. I would just use a few twigs to make a small fire. You don't need a big fire in the middle of the summer. And once you're ready to start, do whatever you do to center yourself and get ready to do the spell. I like to pull in a little bit of energy from the earth and sky and feel those holding me and protecting and supporting me. Take a few breaths and then throw that bundle of fresh St. John's wort stems into the fire. Because the plant material is green, it's going to smoke, and that is what you need it to do. You might want to have a few extra twigs there just to keep it going. You might also want to cover your smoke detectors with some plastic and a little bit of blue tape. But if you do that, please, please, please be sure to put a note to yourself to take that plastic down as soon as you're done doing the spell. When the fire is out, you can take the ashes and mark the 4 corners of your house if you want, for a little bit of extra protection. And if you don't have a fireplace, or you live somewhere where it's not safe to burn a fire in a fireplace during the summer, you can harvest a smaller amount of the herb, like the top 4 or 5 inches, dry it in a paper sack until it's really dry, and tie the bundle in the same way I mentioned, using the same technique, and then burn it somewhere in your house in a fireproof container and ask for clearing and protection. If you don't have a fireplace and you're in a bit of a hurry and need it to work right away and can't wait for the herbs to dry, just gather a few spoonfuls of the fresh flowers. Focus on your intention of clearing and protecting your home. Burn just the tiniest pinch of those flowers at a time on a piece of burning charcoal, and that should be hot enough to burn the fresh herb. And you can also burn them on top of some stems of dried rosemary. Because charcoal is more likely to stain, you might want to sprinkle those ashes outside your house. There are many different kinds of St. John's wort, some of which are just decorative, but the ones you're looking for are a weed, and they have small yellow flowers, and if you hold the leaves up to the sun, it looks like the leaves have holes in them, and if you crush the fresh buds, they turn your finger magenta. My next plant is Calendula, and its botanical name is Calendula officinalis. It's associated with the sun and fire, and any sun or fire deity or spirit is happy to have this as an offering in any way that you prepare it. It's also really good to sprinkle the blooms of it around your circle as part of your circle casting. Its properties are protection, success, and healing. Do whatever you normally do to start a piece of magic, like centaur or cast a circle, and take a handful of dried or fresh calendula flowers and place them in a clean jar with a lid. Bring some water to a boil and pour them over the flowers. Then place a circle of fresh or dried calendula flowers around a candle. Then light your candle, and on a small sheet of paper, write down at the top of it what you are hoping to magically charge with success. Draw a pentacle on the piece of paper, and at each point of the star, place a small dot of the calendula water or calendula tea. As you dot each point, you can say something like, I call on the power of calendula, the creative power of fire, and the warming of power of the sun to bring success to my project. When you're done doing that, light the spell paper in the candle and burn it in a fireproof container and let the smoke go to the spirit world. Strain the rest of the calendula tea and add enough warm water till you have about a quart, and then you can take a shower and pour it over yourself at the end to help embody and set the spell. Let the candle burn all the way out. The next herb is lavender, and its botanical name is Lavender officinale. The name comes from the Latin root word lavare, which means to wash, and we still see that root word in things like lavatory. During medieval times, European washerwomen were called lavenders because they often spread their wash to dry out on lavender bushes for the sweet fragrance it gave. And lavender has a long history of being used in clearing, drawing love, and soothing. It's associated with the planet Mercury and the element of air, but some people associate it with water. If you have a lavender plant in your garden or available, snip off several stalks of the flowering plant, about 6 inches long if you can. Don't worry, I'm going to give an option later if you don't have your own lavender plant. Then tie those up at the base, the stem base, with a cord, string, or piece of yarn made of natural fiber, and use white color if you can. Then gather a handful more of lavender, or about 1/4 cup dried. Place it in a pot of water with a little bit of water and let it simmer on the stove as you carry out this spell. If you have domestic animals, lavender can be slightly toxic to them. So instead of using a steam pot, you can make just a cup of lavender tea with just a little bit of lavender in it and let that slight scent of lavender diffuse throughout the house, maybe with your windows open, and that should be fine. Once you've done that, light a candle, do whatever you normally do to start magic, fill a small bowl with water, and then take that bundle of lavender stems that you set aside, dip it in the water, sprinkle it around your house, and ask the lavender to provide happiness and calm within your home. If you don't have any lavender plants, just take a pinch of dried lavender flowers, place it in a bowl of cold water, let it sit for just a minute, and charge it with your intention. Then ask the lavender water to bless your home and bring you happiness and calm, and sprinkle it around the inside of your home with your fingers or a small whisk. Then check on your steaming lavender pot to make sure it still has enough water in it if you did that version. Then make another small bundle of lavender stems if you have a lavender plant, or put a few spoonfuls of lavender flowers in a charm bag. Hold it in your hands and ask the lavender to protect your dreams and give you deep and restful sleep. Then hang it somewhere above your bed and let the candle burn all the way out. There are so many summer herbs. I had a really hard time narrowing this down to just 3. Agrimony, rosemary, mugwort, roses, thyme, marjoram, oregano, hyssop. The list just goes on and on. Let me know in the comments what your favorite summer herbs are, and if you're interested in more green witchery from me. I'd love it if you fed the algorithm gods by liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos if you haven't already done so. Until next time, stay safe and be well.